Thank you, everyone. That's the choir. That was very impressive. Thank you. All soldiers have different reasons for wanting to join the military. When I was younger, I saw a recruitment poster that said, "If not you, then who?" I thought of my brothers and knew it was for me, not them who stopped for myself up. I was no stranger to the goings-ons of what being a soldier meant. I'd done 2 wildfire seasons in California and had 2 great friends who were active and had already done combat deployments. They were halfway around the world as I experienced college life at USU and in the Sigma Chi fraternity. My friend Colton was in Iraq from 2006 to 2007. It was a particularly tumultuous time in Iraq, and that was when we lost the majority of our soldiers. I had expressed to him several times while he was deployed that I was ready and I needed to enlist. I wanted to be there. Every time we spoke, he begged me not to and wanted to keep me at bay, even offering to pay my tuition and keep me in school. After a few years of bleeding, I could no longer wait. I felt the call and could not ignore it any longer. I knew I'd be good at it. I knew it was just part of me. Everyone around me told me not to, and I knew I liked jumping out of airplanes, so off I went. I entered the military in July 2009. First was 14 weeks of boot camp and infantry school, then immediately off to airborne school. After all was said and done, I was a career airborne infantryman. There's a lot of hurry up and wait in the military, and when you hurried, you hurried, and when you waited, you waited. And man, did you wait and wait. Something I learned early on to pass the time was to try learning something new, even small things to pass the time. I learned how to pick locks. In the military, there are locks on everything, padlocks. No one ever seemed to know where the right keys were to the tank. And no one ever seemed to, I became very useful once they realized I could open tanks and locks whenever I wanted and save the bus. I had the privilege of graduating from infantry school with an elite group called the Immortals, who were the top soldiers of our class. It was then that we were recruited to the Special Forces selection. The selection was grueling 4 weeks of obstacle courses, constant courses, make sure you can climb a ladder and actually throw your leg over the end of it, 40 feet in the air. They want to make sure you do that before actually jumping at it. Let's see. We did 6 and 10 mile runs back to back, or days apart, and 8 and 12 mile reps with 45 pounds of weight and your weapon. Lots of running and wanting to keel over mixing between. I can't explain to you the feeling of wanting to lay down and quit so many times. It takes you to the brink of your mind and body's ability and then asks you for more and more. Through this arduous and downright torturous process, I met some of my dearest friends. Crazy people stick together, I guess. One of these soldiers was Bez. He was in the Immortals with me and had been a stockbroker before joining. During one of these challenges called the Start Course, he nearly froze to death with a whistle affixed to his lips. The Start Course is a navigational challenge where you start at 1 a.m. and have until 11 a.m. the following morning to navigate your way through dense forest in the dark to 4 points, which are 2 to 6 miles apart using the coordinates given to you. So you're actually running around in the dark for 10 hours with people looking for you, and you have to move about 20 miles. Poor Bez was found after shooting off 2 flares you give him if your life depends on it. He was hypothermic and muttering noises. Really glad he made it. He's one of the best friends he's one of the best soldiers in my book. I made it through somehow. The whole crazy thing is I had been signed number 2 at the beginning. There were 344 soldiers, and you trade in your name tag for a number, and I was lucky number 2. All the instructors would laugh when they saw that. They're like, "Oh, good, because number 1 never makes it. They always fail." The attrition rate's about 75%, so 3 out of 4 people go home. I also participated in air assault school. Like most of the schools, the attrition rate was more than 60% fail. This was 2 weeks of ruck marches, obstacle courses, You climb towers to make sure that people have it in them to deal with heights. You have 2 10-mile rep marches at the beginning and end. Something pretty cool about these is, so the 10 miles, and this is like the very end, so you're all beaten up. In the first one, you do the 5 miles, and then somebody hands you a popsicle stick. That was proof that you went that far, so great. So then the 5 miles back. At the end, though, when we did our last 10 mile, halfway through at the 5-mile marker, they actually gave us our aerosol wings to put in our pocket, and I gotta say that helped a lot the last 5 miles. It was there that I met another soldier named Lassie. She was a fierce soldier, maybe 110 pounds, but had more heart and drive than I'd ever seen. Rangers were quitting the course, and she kept going all the way until her leg broke on the last quarter mile of the 10-mile march. She was pretty amazing. Once deployed to Afghanistan in the 1st Cavalry, I learned a lot about working and living in very close quarters with people that didn't always share the same ideals or zest for hiking. We had a guy who, for reasons unknown, only had 1 pair of socks. You can imagine in a bunch full of soldiers who've marched all day and night, it doesn't smell great anyway. And so what I would do when I walk in to meet these guys, I had this stuff called ozone, and it just kills all the smell of everything. Stinky feet, doesn't matter. So I just walk into I was always a new unit, so I walk right up to the air conditioner, just spray a couple in there, and everybody would be like, what? It doesn't smell horrible anymore. So then I'd be like, hi, I'm Bennett, I'm your new guy. Learn to make wherever you may be home. Whether it's Spritz air freshener or putting your own privacy curtains up and building a double-decker desk to store your belongings. Nice and neatly when everyone else is just roughing it right next to each other in the old cot. I once had a colonel walk in to me and he was astounded by what I had built in my tiny corner of this big desert we were in. I built a double-decker couch out of salvage. Being able to adapt to your surroundings is a huge part of your success in any realm of life. Make where you are yours, and it can be done in the most desolate conditions. It is very important to make friends and to help people that aren't your friends at all. I gave one of these not friends the Heimlich maneuver in basic training. We grappled at some point, and he just really didn't like me. We were given 5 minutes there, and basically given 5 minutes to eat at every meal, so there's not a lot of time for chewing. One time I looked down and I looked across the table and I saw that panic look and knew he was choking. So I walked over, picked him up, thrust my fist under his ribs, and it came out. Picked up my tray and kept walking. I barely caught a moment, but those moments are rare, but great in life. You're not always going to be working with people you like. You have to make the best of it. In the military, you learn that everyone is green. You're all there for the same mission and have the same objectives within your teams. There's a lot of adjusting that has to happen when you return from the crazy army world. Most holidays are basically taboo. Christmas is a big deal for most people back home. The military holidays are just another day. Being in the cavalry, we were always the first ones in and the last out. We get in just in time to grab some food from the chow hall and see everyone gathered to see Carrie Underwood flown out to Afghanistan, throw a comfort for the troops. We didn't get to see it. We just had to grab our food and go. We never participated in the fanfare of that. And you definitely did not you never wanted anyone to know it was your birthday. Horrible things happen to you if it's your birthday. Things like people are sleeping on the bunk, and we'd get the saran wrap, it's like the industrial 3-foot stuff, and we'd sneak in and wrap them up like a little cocoon, and then turn the bunk upside down, so they're just hanging. Hopefully they didn't have to pee before somebody rescued them. Anyway, in the midst of danger, I often felt hands on my shoulders, guiding me through the fire. The way of safety. About 2 weeks into a 9-month deployment, I found out from my wife that I was going to be a father. Man, did I take the wind out of my badass fighting soldier sails. I bought every baby book I could find and read them in armored vehicles, observation points, and on the side of the mountain. Every chance I got, they all said different things. I was confused, but I knew one thing for certain. I hadn't thought past this deployment. In truth, I really didn't expect to get out of it alive. and I had made peace with that. But now I had a new job waiting for me, and I needed to make it through. Now I knew why I felt those hands on my shoulders, and I was never more grateful for them than the moment that I stared at that ultrasound picture. On January 1, 2014, I was medevac from Afghanistan to the Ramstein base in Germany with a traumatic brain injury, which all but ended my military career. It was a bittersweet feeling as I made it home just in time to see my baby girl be born. She's the most beautiful baby ever. Everyone claims that they have the best beautiful baby. Mine actually is. I was no longer capable of being the fighter I once was. That person who had always been calm and ready in the face of chaos. I had to find my new normal over the next several years to try and find my identity and separate that from being a soldier. It becomes a huge part of me. I have a fair amount of PTSD, as do a lot of soldiers. I lost many soldiers during time on active duty and beyond to mental health crises and suicides. This is an epidemic for soldiers in this country. Most of my PTSD is rooted in feelings of helplessness. There are too many innocent lives out there to save, and you can't save them all. Each small thing to help improve the lives of people in this hopeless place felt like spitting in the ocean. You see the worst of what people can do to one another, and you just have to keep moving with the machine. I'm truly grateful to have made it through with all my fingers and toes, even though I'm not exactly 100%. I don't know what would become of me without my amazing friends and support system, amazing family and friends and support system. Coming home has been as hard or harder than being there. A few years after I returned home, I was able to go see my dear friend Chris graduate from airborne school in Fort Benning. This is where I did a lot of the training. And as we entered the base, my wife said, "I feel like this is where dreams go to die." It's like this, it's not too far out. Yeah, it sounds pretty harsh, but she wasn't far out. It's a life and grit that only soldiers know and understand. When I joined the military, I was 15 credits shy of a psychology degree. I left a very sweet girl and lots of friends and a scared mom and dad behind. So many have left their families, children, and careers, and the comfort and the safety of home. Whatever that may have been to soldiers, I was one of them. Colton had fought in Iraq, myself in Afghanistan, and Chris in Syria. Like Colton, I had told Chris that I didn't want him to go. And when I asked Chris if he would urge anyone he knew to enlist, his answer was the same. No. There's something that calls you, and you just go. That was the story for us anyway. I want to end by sharing a quote. "Victory is reserved for those who are willing to pay its price." That's Sun Tzu. I just want to say to all the soldiers that came before me, and all the ones that have and will come after me, I salute you. Thank you, and God bless the United States of America.